Jacqueline Waters. Maddie D has taken vacation, so he definitely deserves it, but it's just me today talking all about an update on the tropics and also October, how we've been, what we will see the next week headed towards later into the week, and then also I'll talk a little bit about the wildfire season and some tips on that. So firstly, I just want to start with the tropics. We do have Tropical Storm Oscar out near Cuba. And this storm really developed quickly. If you tuned into GMR early this weekend on Saturday, it only had a 20% chance of developing into a tropical storm. And then it was a hurricane already by yesterday morning. It was a Category 1. It weakened into a tropical storm with winds right now of 40 miles per hour, and it is continuing to move to the west-northwest at 3 miles per hour. And this is the only thing right now we are watching in the tropics. There's no areas of interest. There's no other storms. But, Tropical Storm Oscar still bringing some gusty winds and heavy rainfall to Cuba and also to portions of the Bahamas later this week as we head into tomorrow and into Wednesday. But the current path, we aren't expecting any direct impacts for us in the continental United States other than some rough surf conditions. And in fact, I know a lot of people are down there. Actually, a lot of 8 News viewers were down there traveling in Florida this week, and they messaged me saying that the waves were actually big. So that is something to keep in mind. Along the eastern seaboard, we could see some rough surf thanks to Tropical Storm Oscar, and then also some rough rip currents, some dangerous rip currents rather. But the current path has it pushing to the north and east, and it is going to stay far enough away from the continental U.S. that it won't be bringing us those direct impacts. But again, for portions of Cuba, for portions of the Bahamas, they will be seeing those tropical storm conditions. So something we are watching, but unfortunately, we're not expecting any direct impacts from that. And again, that's the only thing we're watching in the tropics. So I didn't want to focus too much on the tropics as we don't have a lot going on at the moment, but who knows what next week will bring. We might have a whole weather university on the tropics next week. So I wanted to talk about October, how we've been, the rain we've gotten or lack of thereof, and also the temperature. So these are October, by the numbers, are seasonable, basically what we should see for the beginning of the month, also the end of the month. So our average high at the beginning of the month is 76, and at the end of the month, it's 66, so drops down 10 degrees. And our average morning low or overnight low, however you call it, at the beginning of the month is the mid-50s, and at the end of the month, it's the low to mid-40s. So we only are getting cooler seasonably or on average statistically as we head later into the month. And we should usually get about 3 to 3.5 inches of rain. October is typically dry in central Virginia, but we've been very dry this month, and I'll show you that coming up. But we haven't had, other than really Helene, any big rainmaker today's October 21st, the last 21 days, really. And I'll show you that. But firstly, I just wanted to go over those high temperatures. If you have been thinking that October has been warm, you aren't wrong. You can see all those orange boxes. That is above average temperatures, and we have quite a few of those. Only 3 days were near seasonable, those gray boxes, and only 5 days there were below average. So a lot of above average days, and we are, if you tuned in today to Good Morning Richmond, we are expecting above average temperatures to continue today, tomorrow, and even Wednesday, with highs in the upper 70s to near 80. So enjoy the warmth because the cooler temperatures are just right around the corner. With our average high this time of the month being 69, we'll be back down to near seasonable Thursday and also into the end of the work week into the weekend. So this is probably the last time this year that we will see temperatures near 80. So if you are a big fan of the warmth, make sure you get outside at some point over the next 3 days. But the real thing I am concerned about is the lack of rain. We've been very dry so far this month, and you could see that on this calendar here. Only 2 days we recorded any rainfall at the Richmond International Airport. So the beginning of the month, and that was thanks to what Helene brought us. It really brought a lot more rain upstream of our area. That's why we had the heights on the James River rise. And then October 15th, we got, basically trace amounts. So we've been very dry. We've only seen about a 1/2 inch of rain over the month of October. And as we know, we should see about 3 to 3.5 inches of rain. And unfortunately, we have no big rainmaker in the forecast as we head. By the way, if you guys have any, thank you, Julia. Yes, if you have any questions, make sure that if you want to ask them live, I could answer them. So I'm just looking over there to see if I want to make sure I don't miss anything. But we're going to be dry. We have a small chance of seeing a few sprinkles Wednesday night into Thursday. That's because a dry cold front will push through. It really lacks a lot of moisture, so I'm not anticipating really most of us won't see any of those showers. Really small chance. And then Saturday, maybe a few isolated sprinkles. But again, we need a good dosing of rain, and we just don't have it in the forecast. And our latest drought monitor shows us not really under a drought across central Virginia. Now, this doesn't come out that often. It comes out once a week on Thursdays, and you can see portions of the Middle Peninsula, Northern Neck near Tappahannock. They are dry, but for Richmond, areas south, we're not really under that drought. The western part of the state, still some portions of that, even into West Virginia, under that severe, even to extreme drought. But I am expecting that our drought will get pushed east, and we could see maybe that yellow color is that dry category, or that moderate drought as we see it in our next update Thursday, because there's no real rain in the forecast. So that is what got me to talk about what I want to talk about today, which is wildfire season, because wildfire season in Richmond is October 15th, the fall season, through November 30th. So now we're a couple days into it, and I figured what better time than now to talk about it, because I am concerned about Thursday. And basically, I'll go over why I'm concerned. I'm not superly concerned, but I think we'll see an elevated fire danger risk. And many reasons. One, we're dry. But also, we are going to see that dry cold front push through, and the winds are going to pick up. So you could see there, winds not really an issue Wednesday. We'll be seeing winds gust up to maybe 10 to 15 miles per hour. But as we head into Thursday, that's when we'll really get breezy, and those winds will be about 10 to 20 miles per hour with gusts up to 25 miles per hour possible. So when you have that wind, you have the dry conditions. That's just not great variables for fire. We don't want those because we want some rain. We don't want wildfires, obviously. So I am looking at that. Still a few days away, but we'll keep you updated. And let's just go over some of those causes, which it's actually interesting. So 9 out of 10 wildfires are caused by humans. So that's why I kind of feel passionate on it, because 9 out of those 10 wildfires could be prevented. So hopefully you learned something from this, and we could all stay safe this season. But some factors for wildfire growth, and a lot of these we don't really see in our area. We don't have any overgrown, well, I shouldn't say any, but compared to the West Coast where they really see a lot of wildfires, we don't have really overgrown, dry forest where we need to do that burning, where they actually schedule burning and schedule the wildfire, and they basically start it themselves. So a lot of this might not completely pertain to us, but most of it actually does. So extreme heat, we're not going to see that in the fall in central Virginia, but that's also obviously one of those factors. Drought, as I just showed you, we're not under that drought, but I think we are going to see that get expanded as we head later into the work week. And then the wind. The wind is the factor we know we will have as we head into Thursday. And some causes of wildfire, as I mentioned, 9 out of 10 wildfires are caused by humans, whether it's a campfire that's not put out correctly, maybe a cigarette that's not put out correctly, a human error. And then also lightning could cause wildfires, which I'm not concerned about that for Thursday. And then the heat from the sun, which also, as I showed you, temperatures will be back to near seasonal. We're not expecting any crazy heat on Thursday. So again, 9 out of 10 wildfires, I'm just saying. So just talking about some tips here. As I mentioned, campfires. You never want to leave those campfires unattended. You always want to put them out and make sure that they're completely put out before you go to bed, before you head inside. And also adhere to all the burn bans and warnings if we do get any as we head later into the wildfire season. Also, as I mentioned, properly discard those cigarettes. If you do smoke cigarettes, make sure they're completely out, because it only takes one amber and one spark to really cause that wildfire. And when it is windy, we could have those wildfires spread quickly. And keep vehicles off of dry vegetation.